Developing this morning, Albuquerque police are working to find someone who may have been shot. They say a shooting happened at this Circle K near Manolan University around 8 last night. They were able to get there quickly and arrested the man who they think fired shots. Whoever he was shooting at took off before they could talk to them. They don't know if that person was hurt or what sparked the shooting. New details this morning on what happened in a deadly officer-involved shooting. It all started Friday around noon. That's when Edgewood police say they responded to a 911 call claiming a man shot at someone with a rifle. After finding a suspect, witnesses say police had a hard time getting him out of his car.
They were just telling him that he wanted to talk to them, and the guy just kept saying, "Why am I being arrested?" And he was like yelling cuss words at him.
Investigators say that man repeatedly yelled that he wanted to shoot officers. The standoff dragged into the early morning hours Saturday. At around 1:30, state police say the man threatened officers in some way, and several of their officers opened fire, killing him.
I think the police were just doing their duty. They were doing their job and protecting my daughter and all the rest of the people here. So, I'm just glad nothing happened to them.
Police aren't telling us how many officers shot or how many times. They also have not identified the suspect. And one of two Navajo Nation officers shot by a domestic violence suspect will get to go home. According to the Daily Times in Farmington, Officer James Hale will be released from the hospital this week. Officer Herbert Frazier was also hit. He's already been released. Frazier and Hale were shot while responding to a suspected domestic violence call. That's when police say Justin Fowler took off, eventually stopping and shooting at police in Red Valley, Arizona. Officer Alex Yazzie was killed in the shooting. Fowler was also shot and killed. Body cameras will now be a part of some officers' uniforms in the Las Cruces Police Department. The Las Cruces Sun News reports that police are buying 72 cameras for traffic and patrol officers. Officials say the main goals of the cameras are to protect officers and enhance the accountability of the department. They're expected to cost around $320,000. A man is accused of going on a rampage in an unusually quiet Albuquerque neighborhood, damaging multiple homes and vehicles. But many neighbors say this wasn't a criminal, just a person in need of help. Here's News 13's Haley Rush.
It's a new day and a new window.
Oh yeah, we always feel real safe, and I've never really had anything like this before. First time we've had to replace the windows.
Residents say yesterday it was a different scene.
This guy, I guess, was just throwing stuff out from his brother's house, and after a little while he started throwing things at people in the neighborhood.
According to a criminal complaint, Eduardo Serrano used rocks to damage property throughout a northwest Albuquerque neighborhood.
When we ran inside, he started throwing things through the car windows and through the front windows of the house.
It wasn't just property. The report says Eduardo also threw rocks at other neighbors and even police. APD had to use a beanbag shotgun and a taser to subdue him. The report says the chaos all started at the house where Eduardo's brothers live. His brother Carlos says Eduardo was just released from a mental health facility and dropped at a homeless shelter.
They cannot just drop him off in the city and be like, okay, now you go make your living, you know.
Eduardo didn't stay at the shelter. Carlos says he came home to find his brother had broken in, and then chaos broke out.
Luckily, there was no people injured, but there was properties, people who were damaged, you know, and I think they need to be more careful with people that they release into the streets.
But some neighbors we spoke with say while they were frightened, they're not upset with Eduardo. As for McClung, he says what happened here actually brought the neighborhood together.
We met a couple neighbors we hadn't met before because they came out just to make sure everything was okay, so that was real good.
Haley Rush, KRQE, News 13. Eduardo is now facing aggravated assault on police, criminal damage, and aggravated burglary charges. APS is shooting down accusations made in a lawsuit by former Superintendent Winston Brooks. As part of a buyout agreement, Brooks got a $350,000 buyout to leave his job, as long as the district didn't badmouth him. But according to a lawsuit, Brooks's replacement, Brad Winter, did just that in an Albuquerque Journal article. Now Brooks wants another $125,000 from APS. According to the Journal, APS now claims in a court filing feeling that the newspaper's quotes were wrong. But the Journal's editor says the paper's story was accurate and says no one from the district ever contacted them to correct the record. Meanwhile, the APS board will choose the district's next superintendent this week. They've whittled a pool of 59 applicants down to 6, 2 people from New Mexico, 2 from Texas, and 2 from California. The candidates will each participate in public forums this week, and then the board is expected to make its final decision on Saturday. A California deputy police chief who's facing federal drug charges is accused of having drugs sent to an Albuquerque home. Now he's resigned. Fresno's police chief is responding.
It's been an eye-opener. And when you think you know someone, sometimes you don't. I'm sorry for what happened. I wish I could have prevented it. I wish I would have known about it in order to prevent it.
Former Deputy Police Chief Keith Foster handed in the resignation Friday. He was on paid administrative leave before that. The feds say they've been trailing Foster for a year and have surveillance of him trying to sell oxycodone, heroin, and marijuana. They intercepted a half pound of marijuana that had been sent to an Albuquerque address, Maria Garza's home. We went to the house late last month, but no one knew who Maria Garza was. The FBI says it cannot comment on whether they're investigating anyone here. Federal officials say a Bay Area man is the first American citizen to be killed in the renewed fighting in Yemen. The man was leaving prayer service when he was killed. He left for Yemen, his home country, about 2 months ago to visit his son and wife, but wasn't able to come back because of the violence there. The U.S. State Department issued a travel warning for Yemen on Friday, but there are no plans to help U.S. citizens safely escape.
So to see that smaller, less stable countries are able to get their citizens out, and the U.S. government is saying that it's impossible, is difficult to believe and very disappointing.
There's also concern about another American trapped in Yemen. The co-founder and president of a coffee company was stopped by armed militia during a business trip there.